Very good morning to all of you. We are back again with a very small topic that is from the microbial world, and it is concerned with microbiology for these first year students who have newly been admitted, and this may be the last point of the syllabus because it has the applications of microbiology in your life. Because see, in my previous lecture also I have told you one point that microbes are everywhere. So if you just search for any sort of thing inside the world, you will certainly find microbes which are always present over there. So these microbes plays a very important role in each and everyone's life. Somewhere somehow we are attached with the microbes and the microbes are attached with us. Likewise, not only with the human beings, these microbes are helpful in the environment, they are helpful in food and food products, they are helpful in generation of various different bioactive compounds as well as chemicals as well as fermentation processes, so and so forth. So let us understand what are the different roles of the bacteria and what are their applications in our world, because this is one of the topic where the application part is always there, and in the examination also these points will certainly come in terms of like what are the applications of bacteria or what are the applications of microbiology. So we will try to sum up with some points. Now these bacteria are said to be good for the environment. One of the thousands of bacteria that live in earth, only a few hundred causes diseases like Staphylococcus throat or a cavity in your tooth. For example, there are a number of bacteria which are present in the environment. If we go along with calculating what is the number, it will be very tremendous. But out of them, as you know, very few hundred bacteria are there which are said to be pathogenic, which causes some kind of deleterious effects. These effects may not be helpful for that particular bacteria. And therefore, the question arises that this bacteria itself, the bacteria which are harmful, if you eliminate those bacteria, then there are a number of other bacteria which are present in the microbial world which are helpful for the human beings. Not only for human beings, they are helpful for the environment, they are helpful for a number of ways. For example, if I get a toothache, then certainly the toothache, the bacterial growth over inside the toothache will cause you the toothache. So these are some examples by which they can cause a deleterious effect. For example, if my stomach is paining and yesterday I had some episode of eating something a little bit different, then certainly the microflora in my stomach will be disturbed out, and therefore that may cause some kind of disease or some kind of pathogenic effects. But there are bacteria which are helpful in digestion. There are bacteria which are present inside my body which are helpful for me. Some bacteria which are present in the crop or which are present in the soil are helpful for the crop, like nitrogen fixations. We are going to come to that point also. So, in that concern, many bacteria do things that are important and even helpful for us. So, every time it is not been said, every time it has always been said that come on, if you have an infection, then the bacteria are said to be just pathogenic bacteria. Not at all. These bacteria are also non-pathogenic bacteria, these are also eco-friendly bacteria. These bacteria are helpful for the human beings as well as for the environment. One of the major part of helpfulness of these bacteria plays a very vital role in nitrogen fixation. So in nitrogen fixation, most living things depends upon plants. Maximum food that we consume, it comes from plants. And of course, non-veg or persons who are eating non-veg, you can see that non-veg cannot happen each and every day in your at your home. 24/7 you cannot eat non-veg at all because your stomach may not be in that way to digest it in a proper way. If you start eating non-veg for the 7 days, then certainly on the 8th day you have some kind of stomach ache. In that concern, when we come in this particular point, plants are the best source for food. Maximum of the population living inside the whole world is consume plant-based foods instead of animal-based foods. So plants need nitrogen to growth. Of course, nitrogen is a very important element in the environment, and this element will be helpful for the growth and development of the plant. But this atmospheric nitrogen which is present has to be captured, has to be taken into consideration, and that has to be supplied to the plant inside the soil so that the level of fertility of that particular plant would start to enhance. So in that way, nitrogen gases makes up to 78% of the air, but plants can't take it directly from there. This is one of the most important point, that the abundance of nitrogen present inside the atmosphere or inside the air is 78%. Out of 100, it is 78% of nitrogen that is present inside the air, but the plants which are onto this particular earth are unable to capture that nitrogen and convert it into nitrates or other kind of products which are helpful for their benefits. So for that purpose, what we do, they need to take a different form of nitrogen. This direct nitrogen they cannot capture, so they need to modify that nitrogen somewhere somehow in a simplified form so that it will be easily absorbed by the plant and it will be helpful. Nitrogen fixing bacteria take in nitrogen from air and change it into form that the plants can use. So what is the role of bacteria over there? Nitrogen fixing bacteria are helpful in fixing the atmospheric nitrogen or taking into nitrogen from the air and convert it into some simpler molecular form that can be easily absorbed by the plants inside the soil. So what are those, what we can say? See this. Atmospheric nitrogen which is there for plant consumptions. Okay. Now, if you just go along with this, from animal residues, ammonia will be generated, nitrates will be generated, nitrates in case of biological leaching converted to nitrates, and these nitrates either it will be gaseous form will be liberated out or these nitrates will be consumed again by the plants. So this cycle inside the what we can say, inside the atmosphere is continuously been going on. For example, fixation. Fixation of nitrogen is said to be one of the important process by which it is converting ammonia into nitrites. And once nitrites are converted, these nitrites are converted into nitrates, which are a very simple form of the ammonia or the nitrogen molecule is been removed out. And this nitrogen is now being helpful with the plants. They can easily absorb that particular nitrogen and it will be consumed by the plants for its growth and development. So this cycle in the atmosphere is said to be continuously been going on. But who plays a major role over there? The bacteria plays a major role. The bacteria there itself will be helpful for fixing the atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into simpler molecular form of nitrogen so that it will be absorbed by the plant for its own growth and development. After that, we can consume this particular plant. So ultimately, for our consumption itself, we need plants. For better growth or development of the plant, the amount of fixation of that particular nitrogen is certainly one of the important part. And who does this? The bacteria does this. Recycling. Now this is again an important part. Decomposers bacteria break down dead plants and animal matter like in the garden's compost pile. This makes nutrients available to the other living things. For example, in terms of human body itself or in case of plants also. Once we have finished our lifespan, we will be degraded. Once that level of degradation takes place, once we, move out from that particular area, then certainly after some period of time, degradation process would start. And who are these degraders? These are again bacteria. What these degraders do? Degraders decompose that particular material and convert it into such a kind of mineral or fertilizer or manure that will be helpful for the growth and development of plants inside the soil. So again here the bacteria plays a very important role in recycling the waste that is present. The decomposers helps in decomposing that particular waste. A removal of non or toxic chemicals would take place and the remains can be used as a fertilizer inside the fields for the growth and development of the plants. Cleaning up. Bioremediation uses microbes to change harmful chemicals into harmless ones. Now, this is one of the very focused areas because you know that pollution has been taking place in a hell lot of time. Because what is happening is that there are a number of industries that are coming. For example, if we go near Aurangabad, we have Shedra MIDC, we have Vaduz MIDC, so on and so forth. And there are a number of industries that have been working on 24/7. Now these industries, they start producing such kind of toxic chemicals and these toxic chemicals will be liberated out inside the atmosphere. Now who is responsible for disturbing that environment? the toxicity of the chemical is so high that somewhere somehow it is coming in our food chain also. But these bacteria are very much important, and these bacteria, what they do a process called as bioremediation, by which they convert these harmful chemicals into some kind of harmless chemicals. Now once these harmless chemicals, if you consume, I will give you one example, that there are watermelons that are grown near the banks of the rivers, and effluents from an industry have been thrown inside that particular river. What happened? That the watermelons, which are very sweet in taste, they start collecting those toxic chemicals that are coming from the river. After the consumption of watermelon, there are number of carcinogenic effects that can be seen in patients. See how? Means ultimately we go and purchasing watermelons or any sort of fruits. On what purpose? That we get some kind of benefit. But because of the effluent that is being produced or that is being sown inside that river, that effluent is being catched up by the watermelon, and the toxicity is being given to the human body. Because of that, carcinogenic substances are being developed, and people start to develop cancer as well. But what the bacteria do? They convert these harmful chemicals into harmless ones so that the effect will be nullified and we get a proper food. Used to clean up the hazardous waste from industries, farms, cities and oil spills as well. We have an excellent examples of oil spill during the Gulf War, when Saddam Hussein and the US had a fight. The wells, oil wells which are present in the Saudi Arabia, they have been destroyed. And for that, after that destructions, oil has been split inside the sea. If you go along the banks of that particular sea, you will find that the water contains some kind of sticky substances that is nothing but oil. Then it had a very drastic effect on the fishes and the phytoplanktons that were present inside the sea. Many of the fishes died because of the excess amount of oil that was present. Then we as a scientist or we as a microbiologist came in forward, and we have developed a bacteria called a superbug. SUPERBUG, superbug. And this superbug was helpful for degradation of that oil into a simpler molecular form. Once that degradation was taking place, it was Pseudomonas putida, which is the bacteria which is called the superbug, which is being helpful for degradation of this oil. So in case of oil spill also, the bacteria has been excellently been utilized. In case of waste from cities, number of waste, if you go near Aurangabad also, you will see that there are number of dumping grounds as well. Where from, it means ultimately from where this particular waste will go. So this waste has to be degraded into simpler form, and that work again is being done by microorganisms. The bacteria utilize such kind of things. Bacteria in the food. You consume bacteria each and every day. See, people raise bacteria for food every time. When you eat cheese, yogurt, buttermilk or sour milk, you are almost eating bacteria. So we are consuming bacteria. Cheese is the product. Buttermilk is a product which is generated, which contains bacteria, and you are consuming it. That is giving you some kind of health benefits. Lactic acid based bacteria producing bacterial breakdown sugar in the milk. For example, lactose. Bacteria change lactose into lactic acid, and this preserves and adds flavors to your food. So ultimately, the bacteria which is present inside the milk and milk products, if you start to develop or if you start to see, then these bacteria will convert that product into a simpler form, and which will also act as a preservative for a long period of time. So that if you put yogurt or cheese inside the fridge for a long period of time, it will stay for a number of days, and you can easily consume it very correctly, very easily as well. So bacteria are also there which are directly, means each and every time we are eating bacteria also which are maintaining our gastrointestinal balance. Making medicines, this is one of the focused areas. Antibiotics used to kill bacteria and other microorganisms. Many antibiotics made by bacteria, for example insulin. One of the best antibiotic, for example penicillin is also there, which is a broad spectrum antibiotic which is helpful for curing of number of diseases. Insulin again is being produced by bacteria, because we as a human, we have liver and the cells called as isolate of Langerhans are present, which are helpful for development of what you can say, insulin. But somewhere somehow, if a particular patient goes in and those cells have been damaged, then insulin production will not take place, and therefore we need some bacteria which are helpful for development of insulin. So these are again helpful in terms of development of antibiotics. Number of antibiotics, streptomycin, penicillins, cephalosporins are antibiotics which are produced by microorganisms. So people with diabetes do not make enough insulin. In 1970, scientists discovered how to put genes into bacteria to produce human insulin, and the bacteria are separated from that insulin. Means ultimately the production of insulin is now been developed because of recombinant DNA technology, which is one of the most emerging fields in this particular aspect, and we develop such kind of things which will be helpful for the human beings, basically those persons who are suffering from diabetes. Harmful bacteria. In 1800, scientists learned that some bacteria are pathogenic, which means cause diseases. Pathogenic bacteria get inside the host and make nutrients from the host cells, harming the host cells in the process. We are protected from many bacterial diseases by vaccine and treated with antibiotics. Number of ways, of course, every part has two sides, every coin has two sides. So if we go with the positive side also, and if we go with the negative side will certainly those bacteria which causes a kind of diseases. But against that also, these bacteria are helpful us in terms of vaccines. For example, polio vaccine, poliomyelitis. So what is the polio vaccine? Polio vaccine is nothing but the attenuated form of that bacteria only. Okay, which doesn't have an ability to cause disease, but it has an ability to develop your immune system. Such kind of things are there. And these markers are helpful for development of vaccine or development of such kind of products which are helpful for fighting against that particular disease as well. So this is again development of immunity that can be done against the harmful bacteria. Disease in other organisms. Have you ever seen a plant with odd colored spots of soft knot? It may probably damaged by bacteria. Pathogenic bacteria attack plants, animals, proteins, fungi, and even other bacteria. They can cause damage to green, fruits, and vegetable crops. Branch of the trees with the bacterial disease called as the fire blight. Since wilting has taken place, means it is not only causing diseases in case of humans, but it can also cause diseases in case of what we can say, in case of plants as well. These are again harmful to plants as well. So that's all for today, and this is how we conclude this particular syllabus of BSc first year. Thank you, sir.